So I didn't bone her.
So he didn't bone me. So you guys didn't bone.
Oh, now wait a minute. You can't really believe
you. Wait a minute. I gotta tell you, Travis, it really tweaks my melon to see a buff bro like Crawl here get wheezed on by a greasy scumbag like you. So you just chill.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Blood and Black Rum podcast. I'm Ryne from coldsploitation.com, and I'm joined with my co-host Martin.
How's it going?
Is that your best Pauly Shore impression?
That's also kind of my...
That's what we got.
Whoa! Hollywood!
You're a California dude.
California, brah! Hollywood! Dude!
No, yeah, we're not doing Hocus Pocus again.
I mean, it's the same thing. They were just ripping off Pauly Shore. You know?
Hollywood. Yet actually though, we should start by saying Happy Thanksgiving, gobble gobble.
You can't. What the fuck was that?
That's my turkey impression.
That's like you just be like you're like just like
No. That's what you've never heard a turkey before. You don't live in the country. This is what they sound like.
It's a. It's like you're like, what is that? Your like your go-to maneuver. Like, all right,
that was my Squanto war call for Thanksgiving.
We're not doing Pocahontas here.
No, Squanto was a big help for us. Made sure that we survived after colonization, so that we could take over and take all the land.
Squanto brought maize to the Japanese across the Bering Strait 4,000 years ago, and that's why I have corn in my ramen when I go to a ramen shop.
Yep.
That's how I rationalize it in my head.
We've done a few Thanksgiving episodes.
A few?
Pretty much almost every year.
The time-honored tradition.
Yeah, we try to get one in every year. I don't know that we talk too much, though. We don't talk turkey too much, though, about like literal Thanksgiving festivities. So we'll start off by asking, so what are you going to do for Thanksgiving? What's your plans?
I'm going to crash your family's Thanksgiving just to get your uncle's sausage stuffing.
That's right. Sausage stuffing, always good. If you don't, let's start with this. If you don't serve your stuffing with sausage, then what are you doing? Why even put it on the table?
One thing I've learned over the years is that people make mac and cheese for Thanksgiving. I want to go to these houses. Well, I've been deprived of this.
Yeah, we don't. Mac and cheese. Nope. Sorry. Not at our Thanksgiving.
But a green bean casserole.
We don't have that either because no one eats it here. Yeah, we do.
Listen, green bean casserole, the only thing that makes it worthwhile is the crispy French onions on top. So when you take a bite and you get those, delicious. If you get a bite without it, it's just kind of like...
It's mushy green beans is fucking what it is. The onions are doing the work on there, really holding things together. When they're not there, it's a sad excuse for a Thanksgiving side. I think we're doing the Thanksgiving dinner at our house like we have been doing for the past few years. Having a couple of friends and family over, and that's about it for us. Obviously Thanksgiving as well is going to be probably a little bit more segregated this year for most family. So if you're ostracizing family or friends this year for whatever reason at Thanksgiving, make sure to enjoy yourself anyway and get in that wine. Also, fun thing, you're supposed to drink white wine with turkey. poultry in general is a kind of a white wine thing. If you're going traditional, we're not traditional around here. We have the red. So if you come over and you're expecting a nice white wine with your turkey, think again. You're getting a dry red. So, yeah. So Thanksgiving, enjoy yourselves, guys. So, that's probably be the end of our discussion about actual Thanksgiving. But we are also doing a semi-Thanksgiving movie on the show today, which kind of changes from past episodes because I think we've tried to do a Thanksgiving episode one time and we ended up doing First Blood, and it's not a Thanksgiving movie. So that was our bad that one time long ago, probably a couple of years ago now when we did that.
It's more of a Christmas movie.
Yeah, more of a Christmas movie. This time, though, this movie is definitely a Thanksgiving movie. It definitely takes place around the Thanksgiving season because they're coming home for Thanksgiving break.
It's tangentially Thanksgiving.
It is tangentially Thanksgiving. There's literally a scene of Thanksgiving.
Yeah, but still, that's like when you were saying, I was like, Spider-Man, and you're like, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
Yeah, but Tobey Maguire's Thanksgiving in Spider-Man, the Thanksgiving is literally like one scene. The rest of the movie takes place at all other times of the year. That's like saying E.T. is a Halloween movie because it has one scene of Halloween in it, or Mean Girl, like you say, Mean Girls is a Christmas movie because it's got the one Christmas scene in it.
Well, it doesn't just have one Christmas scene. It has multiple, and it has Glenn Coco getting candy grams.
I would say this movie is a Thanksgiving movie because it does take place the week prior to Thanksgiving, and also at the end of the movie has an entire scene at Thanksgiving dinner. It's a Thanksgiving movie. So this is going to be the next Die Hard argument, right? Like the Die Hard a Christmas movie. The next argument that we're going to have is Son-in-Law a Thanksgiving movie? We'll let the listeners decide on that.
You decide.
Yeah. Fact or fiction? You decide.
Also, too, I had somebody at work say they would never watch Mean Girls because the idea of watching high school girls be catty was just too much and too traumatizing, to which I told him, be a man.
Yeah, grow up.
It's a wonderful movie.
Because they had bad experience with catty kids, or what?
I don't know. They just said they didn't like the idea. I'm like, that's the fun. I'm like, you're missing peak Tim Meadows.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. I don't know. That seems like a little bit of a dumb reason not to watch, but neither here nor there. We're here to talk about Son-in-Law, which is
Pauly Shore's son.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It's like, it's like a John Carpenter's movie, right? Except this time it's Pauly Shore's son. Yeah, I don't think Pauly Shore ever got his name on a movie like that.
No, it does. It says on the movie poster, Pauly Shore.
Well, it does up on the
son-in-law.
Yeah, it does up on the top, right? It does say Pauly Shore is the son-in-law. But
he's a relative nightmare. You.
So I will confess, this movie was not one that I had really. I mean, I'd seen it once before, but it was nothing that I had really gone back to until my wife was like, "We should watch Son-in-Law for Thanksgiving," and I was like, "What?" She's like, "Yeah, it's a Thanksgiving movie. It takes place on the week before Thanksgiving, and blah blah blah." And I was like, all right, let's watch it. Because she was a huge fan of it when she was a kid. And apparently she would watch it over and over and over again in her room on VHS. So we watched it and I was like, oh yeah, you know what? That was actually, that I enjoyed that. I don't know if it's because I've kind of gone full circle on the whole Pauly Shore thing. It's like, you know, at one point you're like, Pauly Shore, antics are stupid, right? It's just dumb. And then I think I've come full circle from that. And it's like, it's so dumb. It's so stupid. I find it funny again. It's come right around. So I am a fan of Pauly Shore. Actually, after we watched Son-in-Law not too long ago, we also watched Biodome, which is definitely a lot more stupid than Son-in-Law is. And I will also admit I've never seen Encino Man.
I've seen Encino Man,
which is probably one of his most recognized movies, Encino Man. And you said recently on the last episode that you are not a fan of Pauly Shore.
God,
Would
no.
you care to elaborate on
Because the
reasons why?
Encino Man's a bad movie. Jury Duty's a bad movie. Biodome's a bad movie. I hate his shtick of like just Gen X bullshit nonsense. Like, yeah, man, like Hollywood, let's go. California, totally tubular, turned up to little extra because it's a rated R film. So instead of saying like, yeah, you got a like amazing rack there, you got cones, play with the boobs, and just keeps going on and on. And it's just stupid. It wears out. Wears out.
Wait,
really
so which
quick.
one are you saying? What movie specifically are you saying does that?
All of his movies.
Oh, just all of his movies. You're saying
It's his whole shtick.
Get to that.
It's like his whole shtick is like Andy Dick or Tom Green.
True.
Andy Dick's not really funny. He has his moments every now and then. Tom Green was a time and a place, and was funny for a little, like a small moment in history. But like the shtick didn't last, wore out its welcome.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, there's definitely the 90s, especially this time period, they definitely had their fair share of dick. Adam Sandler's another good example of in the 90s having his own little shtick that was, sort of goofy comedy.
You look, if a lot of people were to really go back who love Adam Sandler, and you go back and watch half the shit, it's like, Opera Man is fucking stupid. That's one of the worst bits of SNL ever pumped out. But yet people are like, yeah, man, like, wasn't that funny? Or like, half the movies, you did. It's not like, it took to click for him to get bad. It's like, no. No. Hey, Happy Gilmore's not even really that funny.
Oh my God. You're saying that on the eve of them announcing Happy Gilmore 2? You're saying that it's not that funny?
No.
Kevin
Nealon has 3 lines in that whole movie, and he's funnier than fucking.
You're besmirching the memory of Bob Barker in Happy Gilmore.
It's more of a Chris McDonald vehicle. He's the weight of the hilarity in that movie. So is Carl Withers,
Yeah.
But and Ben Stiller. Adam Sandler himself,
So you're saying the same thing about Pauly Shore?
Yeah.
Basically. That in the 90s, there is this proliferation of sort of this goofy, shticky sort of comedy, and Pauly Shore was at the forefront of that, and your hatred stems from Pauly Shore being a big part of that shticky schlock that came out of the 90s. That's what it boils down to.
It's just not that funny.
Okay. All right.
But then again, we find Will Ferrell to be absolutely hilarious. And I know people at work now that openly say they hate Will Ferrell movies.
Yeah.
It's...
So, yeah.
I'm insulted by it.
Maybe he's going through the same anti-renaissance. That Pauly Shore, maybe in a couple more years, people are going to be like, wow, Pauly Shore. I actually find him funny again. So, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe
is this going to be like the Steven Seagal? In 10 years, we're going to be like, wow, Seagal. Those Seagal movies were really top notch. Like,
exactly. The people are going to come back and listen to this and be like, Son-in-Law. There's going to be a revitalization of people watching Son-in-Law for Thanksgiving due to our podcast episode, and then there's going to be this whole big Pauly Shore revival, and people are going to recognize like, oh wow, Pauly Shore's movies are actually pretty funny, and then there's going to be a whole thing, and then we're going to have a whole cinematic universe of Pauly Shore-esque comedies that are going to come out. You're going to be super upset about it that we started it off. All right, let's take a break before we talk about Son-in-Law in depth, and let's talk about the beer that we have on the show today. I'll take this one away. I was in the beer store and I saw that they had a nice variety pack from a brewery, Three Floyds, that we generally don't get that often around here because it's from Indiana. But I've seen a number of people talk about Three Floyds. We have relatives that live in Indiana, and they had a Three Floyds variety pack there as well. And I've seen that a lot of people really like their beers, especially their IPAs, and they also have some pretty cool can artwork as well. A lot of them also sort of model after death metal, and I think they even make a Pig Destroyer beer specifically for that band. So I've known about Three Floyds. I've just never really gotten them before. And I thought it was high time that we did something for the podcast with Three Floyds on it. So I picked up the variety pack because I was interested in all of the things that were in there. I've never had any of them before. And the one that I picked out that we could do for today's episode is called War Mullet. And the one reason I picked this is because it was the variety pack exclusive. So it wasn't like we could just go out anytime and grab this. So the War Mullet is a double IPA from Three Floyds. Got pretty cool can art on it. Actually, it looks like a cross between like a sort of like a Conan sort of artwork, and then also like sort of a zombie or cannibal film. Kind of reminds me of as well, like sort of a cannibal Holocaust sort of thing. The way that it's depicting like heads on stakes and stuff. So again, one of the reasons why I like Three Floyds is because I just do like their artwork quite a bit. And this one is also really cool. Stood out to me. So War Mullet double IPA comes in at, I think on the higher end, about 7%, if I'm not mistaken. 8.1 actually. 8.1% for them. And have a little guzzle now. This one stands out to me as being pretty danky, in my opinion. Sort of a dank IPA on the West Coast side of things, so it's not really like a hazy at all, in my opinion. Got a nice varietal in here, and I think it's pretty heavy on the IBUs because it's pretty bitter. But I think this is really solid. Kind of a strong beer in terms of flavor and in terms of the alcohol content. So the kind of the doubleness of it, the strong alcohol flavor does come out, but I don't think it's like too overpowering. I like this one a lot. I think it works really well as a double IPA from Three Floyds. What do you think as your first experience with Three Floyds?
As I take a nip, it's pretty good. I do like the cans. Like even though the other beer you gave me, that's we're not doing on the show today. One of their core beers. And as I'm on their website, the cans are really cool. Now I'm not really one of those thrash metal bros, so but it still looks really cool. I'm kind of surprised because it's been a long time since just having kind of like a straight double West Coast IPA, because it's not a hazy at all. It's very dank, very pretty bitter. And
yeah, I just checked too. It's 85 IBUs, so it is higher on the IBU scale.
I'm not sure what hops are in here.
Yeah, it doesn't really. I don't think it really says.
No, it doesn't say.
Yeah, they don't really. Yeah,
it's say the beer itself isn't on their website anymore, but it is really dank. It does have, and one of the problems I have with when it comes to the doubles, does have a bit more of the alcohol taste to it, a little bit more fuel and heat to the back end.
Gasoline, if you will. This would have been a good one for like a Mad Max episode.
It definitely has like some heat at the end, like you just drank a shot. It's not awful, but it's there if you're not one to be a fan of it. That 8.1, you're gonna feel it. It's gonna creep up on you because it is kind of like it definitely is a sipper, but it it does go down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Easy enough.
Dangerously smooth.
Yeah. But it's definitely interesting. I would definitely try out more from them. Like I said, straight West Coast double IPAs aren't really my bag these days anymore because they're kind of
being phased out.
At least around here, they're
yeah.
they're like Bigfoot. They're hard to find because it's double IPA. It's a hazy double.
You might spot them here or there and then take a picture of it real quick because you're fucking surprised by it.
But no, it's definitely good. Check them out. If you said you got them at what, Beer Universe or Midtown?
No, Midtown. Yep. They had like they really like Midtown. They really only been carrying like 2 things from them. They get a variety pack, seems like, so they had this one, and then they had like a standard the Zombie Dust IPA, which is that one is actually probably fairly common for around here. Like we do get that here and there because it's just like their flagship IPA. So that one they seem to have like all the time. But for varieties and like some of the other beers that they're putting out, we really don't get them that often. They just here and there make their way up to us. I was just lucky enough to like have some when I was actually in Indiana. So I tried a couple of 3 Floyds that they had there in their variety pack, which were different than these. But overall, like we'd never really get an opportunity to try them. So
they do make a Marzen for Oktoberfest.
Oh, that's cool.
Munsterfest. The bottle looks pretty nice, so we'll have to be on the lookout for that next year.
Yeah, for sure. And you probably see on there too, they do make the Pig Destroyer beer, which is a special beer that they make specifically for the band Pig Destroyer. So that's fun. Fun stuff. All right, so that's 3 Floyds. If you live around the area in Indiana, check them out. I think they are doing a little bit more distribution than just like the local area, so you might be able to find them around you, depending on what your beer selection is. All right, so let's talk son-in-law. So again, son-in-law, Lord. So the first thing that I want to mention here is that son-in-law is a pretty picture perfect representation of how the red conservative Midwest areas probably see California as a hellhole, right? Because like this movie is the main protagonist in it, who is played by Carla Gugino, Becca. She lives on a South Dakota farm, right? First of all, South Dakota.
Is that where they are? I did.
Yeah, she mentions it real quick.
I didn't hear them when I was looking at the plates trying to figure out.
South Dakota, though, that is one state that you really don't hear about, like in any movies. Like
it'd be like the 48th state, like for somebody to make a film about, like,
right? Like I was just trying to run it through in my head and like what movies can I think of that like have like a South Dakota or anywhere near South Dakota sort of setting, and I couldn't think of any. Very, very specific state for this movie. But anyway, it's funny because, they live in the South Dakota. They have this farm. They're very accustomed to their ways. And, their ways include, as we see in this movie, barn dancing, barn line dancing, a town-wide festival.
Which, by the way, this film... peak early 90s. Every trope from the early 90s in here. Inline skating. Got it. Yeah. Social distortion posters.
Yeah.
Got it.
Like a 90s grungy sort of montage.
Beverly Hills 90210 hair. Got it.
Yep.
Boot scooting, boogie line dancing. Got it.
The overly represented college. Like that looks overrun with like ridiculous characters and students. Got it here.
What a hellhole.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. This is the epitome here of they're saying like, go to California, look at what kind of hellhole, that liberal hellhole that is over there. What are they doing over? They got fucking beaches over there where girls are wearing, G-string bikinis. They've got guys who think that, who are basically like gender fluid. Because in this movie, Pauly Shore, like him or not, he's pretty gender fluid in here, which I think is pretty progressive for this movie. And we can talk about that later. But, you've got like the college that basically everyone in there is drinking 24/7, partying. You've got lesbians in here, right? They're astounded when Becca moves into her dorm room and all of a sudden they see that her roommate is a lesbian, and they are making out together. So you've got like, again, it's just funny because it does take this representation of California. Like, look at this place.
So
these godless people.
So like, where is she going to? Like UCLA? Like,
yeah, something like that, right? It's gotta be something.
Like, so that's not going to be cheap for them.
Berkeley.
Cal Berkeley. Is that where they are?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
But anywho, like, so she's out of state, so she's not going to be getting in-state tuition. She just went to like a South Dakota state school.
Well, that's what their dad is saying. You should just go to the state school. And he's not saying that because of the liberal hellhole that California is. He's looking at his paycheck and going, holy fucking shit.
And this is still, this is before the explosion of like, the super explosion like we went through for college, but like for tuition. But like, it's just kind of like, they even go to the school to visit? Because it seems like they just kind of were like, okay, here you go. I got accepted into this school. Okay, cool. Where is it? California. All right, cool. Pack your shit. We're going to drive all the way out,
Yeah, they probably didn't actually go look at it. They were just like, okay, this is really where you really want to go. So let's go. Like, they didn't have that experience of like we did when we went together to a college to look at it, and we're experiencing like
the nice continental breakfast.
Yeah, the continental breakfast, the windswept plains of Oswego. No, they didn't get to experience all of that from going to this college. She just packed her shit and left. And I mean, like, I think that the beginning of this movie is actually pretty funny just because of how it does represent California and how it like sort of does that shell shock of like, here's these South Dakotans coming to California and just seeing this. And it is a good representation of how I feel like certain parts of the population do see more liberal or blue areas. They see them as like these like little hellscapes that they can't imagine living in. And that's what's basically what Son-in-Law is all about.
But there is the dichotomy, the other side to that coin too, because Pauly Shore is the same too. Asking Rebecca, like, are you in, Brad?
Right? No, yeah. And you're right. This is like Tim Allen's Last Man Standing, where the sitcom where he tries to play both sides, but he basically ends up on the conservative side. But here in Son-in-Law, the film does actually do a fairly good job of showing, like you said, the dichotomy between, a Californian who's, been transplanted from California, goes to South Dakota, experiences that. And inversely, the South Dakotan who goes to California experiences that, how it changes you. You kind of get you kind of, what do I want to say? You evolve from both of those spectrums into something a little bit different than you were. And Son-in-Law kind of, it focuses on how that changes both Becca, who, kind of ditches some of the more God-fearing ways of South Dakota in favor of, things that she's always wanted to do, but been kind of scared to do. And then Pauly Shore,
she ruins her hair.
She chops and dyes her hair. This, and I'm surprised that this movie wasn't like the single white female of, college age women at the time, Carla Gugino chopping and dyeing her hair like this. And then, everybody else doing it the same, like a single white female, where everybody cut their hair off, for the bowl cut look. But yeah, like, and then you've got Pauly Shore's character. His name is Crawl, and he comes to South Dakota for Thanksgiving and then kind of experiences what it's like to live in a farming area. But I will say that Crawl is a lot more open, and that's part of Pauly Shore's character in this. And the dynamic here is that Crawl is sort of like a little bit more open to the experience. And even so, he doesn't really, again, he's not very understanding or, he doesn't have a lot of wits about him about what it's going to be like to live in South Dakota or live on a farm or anything like that. But he's at least a little bit more understanding and willing to experience what that's like versus, someone like Becca's father who goes to the California college and is like, what the fuck is going on here? Basically drops a whole bunch of shits every time he's in the college dorm room. So, but I think that's really interesting. But basically the bulk of Son-in-Law is after Becca's been in college for a few weeks. She's going back home for Thanksgiving weekend. And she's bringing Crawl with her because all he's going to do is eat a Hungry Man in the dorm instead of actually having a Thanksgiving dinner. So she brings him with her to meet her parents.
How?
There's nothing wrong with a Hungry Man.
A Hungry Man
is that what you're going to say?
Is like quintessential fine dining.
For the 90s, for sure. I definitely remember.
For blue collar 90s.
I remember many a time munching on a Hungry Man, the turkey dinner or the... it got to the point, though. It did get to the point.
Not the fried chicken one?
Yeah, I had the fried chicken a couple times. It did get to the point, though, where at a certain point, the Hungry Man dinner was not enough for me as a hungry soccer player. It was not enough. Remember Kids Cuisine too?
Yes.
The
nice little penguin on it, and
the basically like stuck on there brownie that you could never get out of the packaging because it was like fucking a brick that was in the yeah. Kid, I definitely remember Kid Cuisine.
See, that's why with these Hungry Man meals and stuff, they come loaded with gravy. It's not for like your turkey, your Salisbury steak, or your chicken. No. For the brownie part, you got to put, get some of that gravy in there to get it unstuck from,
the gall to call it Kid Cuisine. Catchy name. Not representative of the food product inside. But anyway, yeah.
Do they even make those anymore? Or
I don't really think they do. Yeah,
are they outlawed because they had like PFAS in it? Like,
if they still make them, the first goal of RFK and the Maha team is to get rid of Kid Cuisine right away.
Dude, why? I can't. Why would you name it that?
Yeah.
All I can think of is the Amanda Show.
Yeah.
And it's not just that pointed that out. Emma Vigland on Majority Report kept saying that over and over again.
Yeah.
Too. So, but it's true. That's all I think of. Like, God, these fucking idiots.
But anyway.
Same thing too. Oh, Department of Governmental, whatever the hell, expedience, expenditures, what. It's Doge. It's just one big, acronym for Dogecoin. Buy Dogecoin, you fucking idiot.
All right, back to son-in-law, though. What did you think? What do you think about, so once Carl gets to South Dakota, how do you feel about him getting a taste of South Dakotan living, especially
Well, hold on. I'm not done with college in California.
You're not done with it, all right.
No. So, like, how did that compare going to college that first week? How was that comparable to MCLA?
Lot more chaotic in this movie than it could. There wasn't that much chaos at MCLA. It was pretty much, especially because I didn't live in like quote unquote dorms. It was more like, it was still a dorm, but it was like less of a compact area. It was like living quarters, basically. So it was definitely a lot less chaotic. I don't remember, I've never experienced that like style of living where like everybody's in the hall all the time. It definitely wasn't like that for me, at least.
Payphones out in the hall.
Well, I think that's distinctly a 90s thing, especially, calling collect from college. I never had to do that, unfortunately. But yeah, also, you know what else I never experienced? Grabbing a Diet Coke with a fucking napkin on the side. Because Carla Gugino is such a diva that she can't even touch the condensation on the Coca-Cola can. Did you notice that?
No.
She's like this is when she's calling back home and she's talking to her boyfriend at the time. When she's talking to him about coming back for Thanksgiving, she's got a Diet Coke can and she's got a napkin pressed up against the side of the Coke can because she doesn't want her hand touching the Coke can and the condensation. I was like, wow, now that's fancy. That's not South Dakota living.
What about too with also the whole party that's going on? We don't even get to see her, like what classes, like what major she's thinking about taking up. It's just she's being surrounded by this never-ending party in her hellhole of a college.
What class do you think she's taking? What would you guess?
Horticulture?
Yeah, it's possible, right? I don't know.
Bible studies. I don't know.
That is part of the problem that you don't get from Becca, is you don't really get like much personality in the way of like what she actually likes. You know what I mean? Like she
wears a Letterman, who has a Letterman jacket, who doesn't care about, them getting UTIs because they're going to fuck on a bed of hay. Like, yeah, this is good. This is a great idea. What do you mean? What do you mean you don't want to lose your virginity in this barn? This is romantic. This is as romantic as it gets. Do you want me to take you down to the Super 8?
Right. I love Travis as a character because he is like, I mean, I think Dan Gauthier, who plays Travis, he does a really good job of selling this, really uptight guy from South Dakota who can't really envision a life outside of it. And I think it works really well, but also, he has that really like punchable face in this movie that you're just like, it'd be so great to just, knock one of those teeth out.
Just looks like a total schmuck.
He really does. And like, the movie makes it pretty clear early on. It's like, this guy's an asshole. Like this guy, they don't make it so clear as like, this guy's a roofying asshole, but they definitely, it's clear that he's not a good guy and, Becca could do much better. So I think Dan Gauthier does a really good job because he does make Travis into this person that you can easily hate. Just like, whenever you see him on the screen, you're like, ooh, this guy.
Not only that, though, too, also with the whole party going on, you never have somebody just have a keg parked right in your room?
Yeah. No, I did not. Kegs are fucking expensive. I don't know who the hell is buying kegs now. That's the thing about these, all these college movies and shows where they're like, yeah, we got a keg. Who fucking bought that?
They must have been a dime. They must have all chipped in for the deposit.
I know.
For the tap.
They're fucking expensive, I looked it up recently and it was like, wasn't even worth it to buy the keg. It's just like, just buy 5 packs of beer instead, right? Like buy, 5 12 packs of bottles and it's cheaper than getting a keg. So.
But you're not getting that nice fresh.
You're not getting the nostalgia factor of like.
I was going to say the nice draft taste stuff.
Oh, that's true. You're not getting 17 pours of foam before you actually get to the actual beer.
And you can't do a keg stand
with a bottle.
Yeah,
that's true.
But I mean, like that whole part, like, is just. I understand. I sympathize with Becca because you know what? That right there is hell on earth to me. Like 700 people crammed in this like 1.5-foot hallway, throwing a party when I'm just coming back to do laundry, and it's like, why is everybody
breaking her horse figurine?
Yeah,
or whatever?
It's like, just can you get the hell out?
It's for the glass menagerie.
Yeah. Tennessee Williams is just sitting there sipping on his whiskey.
So funny because Tennessee Williams ought to get some your royalties from how many times we actually bring it up on this show. So I don't know why, but it happens a lot. Go back to our episode. At least 6 or 7 times we brought up the glass menagerie at least. So yeah.
It's an ongoing running gag on the podcast, just like you saying your favorite line from A Christmas Carol is.
Yeah.
Get the Christmas goose. But besides that, though, no, but like that, like to me is hell, and I understand it. And the fact that like Pauly Shore, like this is the thing about Pauly Shore, like Pauly Shore's characters that kind of get me, because he's so out there and so, blah, blah, look at me, I'm that guy.
I think what you're looking for is extra. Right,
yeah,
like we would call that extra now.
Yeah, it's like, and then he's like, Becca, how's it going? As your RA, let me talk to you right now.
Yeah.
Now, it's okay if you feel like you don't fit in right now, but you shouldn't give up. You shouldn't give up on being here. You want
to gives like a whole public service announcement as well.
You're like, you can just hear like the music playing in the background, like do 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 do, as he's like breaking it down for her.
The sitcom style,
yeah, and then he turns her into like a California girl, where she's saying all the fresh slang of 1992, dyes her hair blonde. They go inline skating. They're going to the beach together, checking out ladies' asses.
I mean, I like the slang though. Like I think it gives this movie and Pauly Shore like a unique character that like I enjoy it. I think like it's creative. It's got a nice bit of like witty verbiage that not a lot of other movies have.
You give me a semi.
Yeah, it's just, I find it funny. I find it like, especially when he, like later on in the movie when he comes out, he says he's talking about how Becca's mom and dad just had sex the night before, and he's like, "Thanks for leaving me hanging there. You know what though? It's okay. I found that Playboy. The poison has come out." It's fucking hilarious. Like I love it because it does find unique ways to make jokes where it doesn't rely on the same sort of, deliveries. There is a uniqueness to how Pauly Shore delivers his lines, the way that just the actual verbiage and adjectives that are used, that I think makes it pretty funny and different for a movie like this from the 90s. I don't know. That's my opinion though. That's why I do like Pauly Shore in this movie. I think like he does give it an energy that this movie needs, because otherwise I don't know that Son-in-Law works that well if you don't have Pauly Shore's energy. The guy in this movie just is exuding energy to the point where it makes me want to get up and just be like, you know what? I need to work out. Like I need the fucking ADHD energy that Pauly Shore brings to this movie. I feel like when I watch it, and this is also because we're very different people, but I'm exhausted while Pauly Shore is, spirited. And that's probably the, basic intrinsic versus extrinsic person and who he is as a person. But I find it inspiring to watch this movie and just see Pauly Shore's energy and how much, he brings to the table in terms of, Crawl's character and the confidence too, right? The confidence level of Crawl, whether it's warranted or not, because Crawl doesn't necessarily always need to have as much confidence in himself as he does. But I think it's kind of inspiring to see that, because it
needs to be humbled. You're saying?
Well, yeah, I mean a little bit, and we do see that too, like on the farm where he's like, I could be a farmer, and then they make him go through all of the things, on the farm, like feed the pigs and kill the turkey and all of that stuff, where it kind of humbles him to see like, well, maybe it's not as easy as I initially thought it was. And not only that too, but like he's done it. They even talk about at college, he's done like every major, like half a major.
So they literally stole the plot to Van Wilder from this movie.
He's just in college perpetually, just, never got out of college, just studied everything, but never majored in anything.
Not only that, we all know Pauly Shore's finest role is not this movie. It's as unruly bar patron in one episode of Beverly Hills 90210.
Yeah. I don't know. I like Pauly Shore in this movie. Like maybe it does get tiresome overall, but I like it. I think he gives a nice energy to this movie that it probably wouldn't be as good of a movie otherwise, in my opinion.
Let's make a comparison here. I think there's a fine film we can compare this to for the same type of humor and energy, but one that does a better job. Wayne's World.
Okay.
Mike Myers and Dana Carvey have their own, it's not California stoner, excellent dude, feel them cones and stuff, but it's, Midwest metalheads with their own slang and going like, swing, yeah, but,
sure,
and all that kind of stuff. You know what makes Wayne's World, though, stand out as like this pinnacle of 1990s comedy compared to Son-in-Law? The jokes are a hell of a lot better and better written. With a lot better setups and a lot better, punchlines too. Pauly Shore's just spitting out, garbage, catchphrases over and over again, where, Mike Myers is being like, I will not bow down to any sponsorship, as he's like holding a Pizza Hut box up.
Yeah, I mean, both are good in their own way. Like, Wayne's World is good. Also, though, there's definitely a lot of people.
No. Wayne's World, great.
There's definitely a lot of people that would say Wayne's World is a tiresome movie too, that they don't see the shtick as being that funny. For me,
but that's something I have fully admit though, that like these things, especially these comedians of the 90s, most of it is like is more shtick and gimmick than it is actual punchlines and rolling hilarity.
So you're saying opinions on the opinions of the the stickiness of it and whether it is actually funny to you is really subjective, right? Like for me, I would probably say Wayne's World I don't really find it as enjoyable as like Pauly Shore's shtick in Son-in-Law. You're saying you enjoy Wayne's World more than Son-in-Law. You like the shtick of Wayne's World more. I would say, I think that's true though. I would agree with you. Not everyone is going to find Pauly Shore funny in Son-in-Law. Some people could find it exhausting. Some people could find it just.
I guess I'm more of a real country boy at heart than you. You think you're a son of the Adirondacks. Well, you're not. You're just you're goddamn liberal from Utica.
You're Walter over there, Walter Warner, Lane Smith. Played by Lane Smith over there, who's thinking
beautiful.
This goddamn Californian.
Beautiful Lane Smith, coming off of some of the best movies of all time. My Cousin Vinny.
Yeah, Lane Smith is great in this movie.
He is.
Probably, he's probably one of the best because he does have that sort of, very like straight played character who's, he's doing his best to be accepting. And at the same time, though, he's very much not accepting of, Crawl as a person. And then learns to kind of like him over time. I think he does a great job in this movie selling that part, selling this Midwestern type guy, running a farm, especially once Connie does her like transformation with, after Crawl's help with the makeup and hair department. His reaction after is just genuinely hilarious when she comes in. She's like, "You don't like it, do you?" And he's like, No. I think I do. I think I do. I think I do like it. It's just funny. It's just he does a great job.
See, now that's when when he's line dancing. You see him hunched over because he's got a boner.
Right. He hasn't had a boner like that in some time. It's caused the rest of the blood in his body to deplete. So
it's depletes.
I fucking love it.
See, you just set me up for a beautiful Will Ferrell joke.
There you go.
It's boner. It's depletes.
What do you think about? So yeah, kind of skipping around here a little bit. What do you think about the ending with the setup for the bachelor party? Travis has basically been denied. Yeah, because he's been denied. He wanted to marry Becca, and Becca basically says no. She doesn't want to marry him for one thing, and then they concoct a scheme where they've said, "Oh, you know what? Crawl's already proposed, so they're going to get married." And so he's pissed.
I can't. He has every right to. They were at fucking basically Ponderosa's. He was getting ready to propose it. Like,
that's right. I treated you to an all-you-can-eat buffet, and this is how you. This is what you do to me.
Maybe out there would be like their local bonanza. Like,
can you imagine though? Can you imagine? You're out to a nice dinner with, like the whole town, basically. The whole town is at this dinner too, because it is a small town. And you're like, you know what? Everybody knows we've been courting for a while. And I would like to take this opportunity in front of all of you to propose to Becca. That's just, that is just a little bit too much, in my opinion. If I was Becca too, even just for the hell of it, I would say no.
So you're like one of those people when like somebody's like, I'm going to propose to you at like a Yankees game during the 7th inning stretch. You're like, you're an asshole.
Yeah, absolutely. It is not
not the time or place. I would agree.
Well, it's not, but I guess the other thing is, it kind of depends.
You're putting undue pressure.
Well, not only that, it depends on the other person, right? So like, first of all, if you're going to propose, tips for everybody out there. If you're going to propose, make sure that the person you're proposing to wants to marry. You've already had this discussion before, whether it be veiled or not. Like, hey, do you want to be married to me? And they say, I'm going to wait a bit. That's your cue. Probably don't propose in front of people, right?
You
like,
you spend a lot of money on a ring.
Exactly. So like, that's the first thing. Know the proposee very well, right? If you don't, then there's a problem there. But then second of all, know if they want a public proposal, because a lot of people don't. Some people are not very extroverted people. And so like to have that spotlight, especially like you said at a Yankees game or something like that, that is something that would be very uncomfortable for a person who is introverted. So know the other person very well and how they would react to a public display as well.
How are you supposed to know that if you're basically having a shotgun wedding?
That's right.
You're just throwing it out there, like
yeah.
The guy, Travis just wants to get his dick wet.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And so I think, Becca realizes that. So like, yeah, again, I think that it's, it's an interesting idea to have this as like Travis, who really clearly doesn't know Becca at all. And, he thought he did, but again, people change when they go off to college. And this is kind of that idea as well. It's like you kind of evolve.
She got a butterfly on her tattoo.
I know. Yeah. She like some people would see this as just like indoctrination, right? Like they took this nice God-fearing Bible studying girl, they took her into this liberal hellhole, and look what happened. She changed completely, and she got a tattoo, and she lost her morals. They would see it like that, and I could see that from Son-in-Law, but again, I think this movie makes it pretty clear that like evolution of a person is normal, is natural, and sometimes the combination of things you learn in different places and different contexts is good for you. You learn a lot of things about people, you notice differences, and you become a better person because of it. You assimilate all of those ideas into a person that you are, and it shapes your personality. And you can't just stay like people who stay in one place, like Travis, you're kind of stuck in your ways. It's not a bad thing, but it means that you haven't really experienced some of these things that other people have. And so there's just no way that you can be on the same wavelength when you've experienced something different from the person who's not experienced anything at all. So I think that's, ultimately what Son-in-Law is saying. But yeah, again, back to the ending part.
Be true to you. Which is a good message, especially for like the 90s. Be like,
yeah.
Hey, like, as like, Bartleby is having his, his, heart attack out there.
All right. Assess the situation. Gramps is dying.
Pauly Shore is like giving him like, hey, you know how your dad's giving you shit for like, the way you're fishing? Yeah. It's kind of like how you're giving your son shit for playing them computer games. Well, I don't want him to be gay. It's just,
I don't think he says that, but
it's implied.
But it's implied. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And listen, Pauly knows a little bit because you say he's gender fluid. He knows
really
all about that.
Maybe I think
he knows all about that PRAM.
I actually really like the fact that this movie shows Pauly Shore as sort of this gender fluid human being. Obviously he likes women, but he is secure enough in his masculinity that he's also able to be a little bit more feminine or flamboyant, and that's fine. Like, some of the shirts he wears is great. Like they've got like a low back on them.
His just Chiquita banana lady, like a Halloween costume.
Like I think it's really progressive of this movie and for Pauly Shore at this time of sort of how it does show this gender fluidity, which I think a lot of more people would be more comfortable if they were just able to show like their gender fluidity a little bit more of just like, yeah, so what if I do like to wear pink sometimes? Like people are literally like in their masculinity, scared of doing that. This movie has that gender fluidity that I think
if every
really
time
well.
You put a pink shirt on, your sperm count gets drained.
It's true.
Science.
It's science. Yeah, it's proven. I bet you I could find a science paper that says that, right?
Yeah, like it. But like basically, like he was saying, like you don't like your dad bitching about you for like something the way you do it.
Yep.
Because there's no reason for him to complain about. Maybe you shouldn't, do the same thing. And it's like he has that moment of like,
yeah. But then you know what he said? It's really funny because he's like, "Who asked you?" Because it's that initial defensive maneuver of like, you know what? I'll think about this, but for right now, I'm gonna put you down for it. But okay, so back to the bachelor party thing, though. What do you think about that? What do you think about Travis throwing the bachelor party, getting poor old Tiffany Thiessen roped into this scheme of his. What do you think?
She's a nice looking country girl.
Yeah, she's a, classic country.
Yeah, and the roofies, and she's got a Trans Am, pretty nice.
That's true.
But no, like that, like, wow, like.
Movie takes a dark turn, right?
I know, I was saying, like, well, I mean, for the 90s, it's just good fun. Roofing your friends and putting them in the barn, it's just good fun.
You know what? Back then, it was just good fun. Now we put him into, the cabinet. No. Now we promote him to cabinet position, possibly president. So it's fine.
But yeah, no, it's just like, and then when like you find out, like they're like, Theo, oh, we were just having fun.
It was just a little joke. We just roofied two people, a woman, possibly, there's the implication, possibly she could have been raped if we wanted to, but no, we just laid them in the hay in the barn and made it look like they had sex with each other. It's just fun. Just a funny little prank,
And not only that, though, too, the way they berate her for being like, you ruined everything. You whore. Like,
right. The slut shaming that goes on. Like, I can't believe you. You were all over him. And it's like,
and then even
you're one to talk.
Even Pauly Shore's not like great in that part, too, because he's like, well, I don't even know if I was good or bad or not.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Travis is one to talk. He's just like using her on the side. Is just like, hey, come over and give me a half-hearted hand job one time. And I was like, could use it. My girlfriend's over at liberal college. Yeah.
You do your crossword and I'll,
yeah.
Yeah, I said that at work the other day. Like, and someone's like, "Yeah, that sounds pretty. It sounds like experience." I was like, "No, I was just watching that episode of Breaking Bad not that long ago." Where Skylar's sitting there like jacking them off, and she's like doing a crossword. She's like, "Got it," and she's like, "Oh, sorry, Walt."
Yeah. I mean, poor Tiffany Thiessen in this movie. She doesn't get a lot of time in this movie. But again, too, the movie kind of does do a little bit of like slut shaming where they're like kind of act like she's lesser than everyone. Because even at the end of the movie, when they're like, you know what, Tracy, why don't you come on in here? You can have Thanksgiving dinner with us. She's like, really? Are you sure about that? Like, and then they're like, you know what? We've proven that at least this time you weren't a goddamn whore in the barn. So we'd be proud to have you at Thanksgiving dinner today. Still has that sort of overtone of Christian, Catholic, whore shaming, but otherwise, I don't know. It's just what I got from it. But what do you think about the whole combine element with John Denver? The John Denver music backdrop. As Pauly Shore is driving a combine around.
That should have got him shot dead.
Yeah.
You know how much money he just burned through,
that's true.
Destroying their crops.
A bunch of corn in the... Yeah. That is true.
No, he should have been killed.
You're right, though. They are pretty good-natured considering the fact that, yeah. Like, do you know that you just destroyed my entire year's crop?
Just to spell out crawl.
Yeah. All right. So
don't you love how Lane Smith calls him crotch?
Oh yeah, he calls him crotch. He calls him something else too. I can't remember what it is, but yeah, it's great because it has that same sort of. What else? What other movie does that? Why am I drawing a blank now? Where they keep calling him the wrong name? Fuck.
There's quite a few.
Yeah, I know. There's another movie that I'm trying to think of off the top of my head where they keep calling them. Oh, it's fucking the Santa Claus when he keeps calling Bernard the wrong name. Barnaby and all of that stuff. It's the same idea. Yeah. Forgot.
By the way, too, if you didn't grow up in the 90s or live that part of the early 90s, a lot of these jokes will not have aged well. The Billy Ray Cyrus joke, the Bartleby and James jokes. The
Bartleby and James joke is goddamn funny, though. You gotta admit, that is funny.
No, that is funny. It's like the highlight of the film. Like,
because Mason Adams, as well as the grandfather, he does, he looks
just like him, like
very
sitting
classic.
on the porch.
Pauly Shore comes up. Are you Bartleby or James? Yeah, no, it is good. But yes, again, you're right, because that actually did fly over my wife's head too. She's like, what is that? I was like, oh, the wine coolers, Bartleby and James. And that's probably just from my upbringing, because my mom loved Bartleby and James wine coolers. So, but you're right. There are a few references there from the 90s that some people may not get. But
they probably thought at the time that very cool and very hip, but they didn't age well.
Yeah. No, and I wouldn't expect them to. But again, wine coolers have kind of fallen out of favor. Who knows? Maybe they'll have a renaissance.
I hope so, because you know what? They still do make Bartles and James.
Oh, yeah, they sure do. Yeah.
I haven't seen it at the stores, but I mean, I would love to, because that smell alone, the smell of those fucking things alone will forever resonate in my head.
I think the problem with wine coolers now is that they aren't very appealing, because they literally just taste like a
sugar.
Juicy sugar product, and they don't really taste like alcohol. So you just kind of pound them, and then you get a nice little hangover after because of all that sugar.
Yeah, it's more. I would find that more appealing though than the seltzers.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. We'll have to try them again. We'll have to get wine coolers for the show and see how we feel about them. But yeah, my mom, like I said, my mom used to love wine coolers. That would be. I remember I say that. I don't mean to make her sound like she was an alcoholic. She would have them at a fire or something. She'd be like, "Oh, we're having a fire. I'll grab one of my wine coolers." Something like that. It was like a special occasion. But sorry, Mom,
nice.
Don't mean to.
Nice 4th of July.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't mean to forever cement you as a sort of a wine cooler alky, but something like that. But
just take him to town.
Yeah. And again, I guess we have to talk about, so how Thanksgiving do you see son-in-law?
I mean, it's like the last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
For the dinner and, the whole turkey chase. And
I mean, I will agree with you on that. That the whole aesthetics of Thanksgiving kind of eschewed until they get to the very end of the movie. I will say you do see a turkey in the background of some scenes, especially when they're in the dining room. There is the talk of Thanksgiving, but you're right. It's not, it's not like a fully Thanksgiving-y movie. Besides Thanksgiving, the movie that the Eli Roth movie, Thanksgiving, it's kind of hard to have a movie that's like completely centered around Thanksgiving. It's normally like either the lead up to Thanksgiving, because you got family over, or like Thanksgiving dinner is in a scene in your movie. It's kind of hard to have like a whole Thanksgiving aesthetic throughout your movie. But
no, I'm not taking points off of it, bro.
Sure,
I'm just saying it's not like,
Yeah.
Hell, it takes them like 40 minutes to get to the farm.
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
Too busy gallivanting about, California. How'd you like them playing Green Acres as they're driving into the small town?
It's great because, again, you can't deny that son-in-law has sort of a bias towards Midwest living too, right?
But might as well just been playing the Waltons theme.
I mean, they're kind of poking fun at the fact, of Midwest living, farm living, stuff like that, but rural living. But again, I think it all washes out in the end because it does have a nice theme about, finding yourself, being yourself, maybe evolving from the experiences that you get. So I think I like it though. Overall, I think it has a good theme. It hasn't, again too, in terms of the theme itself, kind of encapsulating the idea of Thanksgiving, where you have various relatives that maybe have gone off, prospered in different parts of the world, coming back together to have a Thanksgiving dinner together to share. I think that like it makes sense to have a movie that kind of mimics that idea. You know, in practicality, right? Sometimes that doesn't always work out, and we're seeing that, you know, post-election very clearly, that sometimes differences can get in the way of you enjoying your family. But at the same time, sometimes differences, especially like cultural differences or differences of experience, can be very good when you come back together and talk about them. So I like the idea of son-in-law in practicality and realism. I don't know that it necessarily always works, but you know, props on them for trying to come up with a nice theme to go along with the Thanksgiving holiday. Anything else that you want to talk about son-in-law before we get into the rating?
I think that's it.
I think we hit it.
Woo, sorry about that.
All right. So on a scale of 0 out of 10, absolutely tubular cones, what would you give son-in-law?
I'll give it a 5.5. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. It's not even that bad. It's just okay. Again, I think part of my problem with why I don't find it to be super enjoyable is because for Pauly Shore films, again, the jokes are just Pauly Shore being Pauly Shore. Your mileage is going to vary on how much you can tolerate that and how much, you're into it. I guess maybe now that I'm older and I'm got a lot of other things to get pissed off about, it just doesn't make me angry like it did when I was a teenager. It's just, it is what it is. He does have some funny lines, but again, it's not like there's too many great setups for jokes. Couple, but like I said, most of the stuff is just him rambling on, firing off line after line after line. Some of them hit, like the Bartle and James joke. Some of them don't, take your nug girl, nug girl, and grab her cones and your booty and woo, It's a fine enough film. It's not really nothing offensive. It's just something that exists. If we're really looking for something that's Thanksgiving, for the Thanksgiving season, give it a try. But again, your mileage is going to vary. Like I said, like the comparison I can make the most is like, if I were to compare it to something like Wayne's World, the difference for me is the fact that one, I think Mike Myers and Dana Carvey are still, pretty funny. And I think two, the jokes, the lines aren't just about jokes. There's, set up for the jokes and there's a payoff and build up in punchlines. I think that's the difference. But yeah, I mean, it's not, like I said, it's not awful. Lane Smith's fun, yeah. So 5.5.
I would give it a 7 out of 10. I really enjoyed the movie. I think it's pretty good. I think it's probably one of Pauly Shore's better movies. Again, I haven't seen a whole lot of them, but from what I have seen, I would say this is his better movie. I think that he brings a nice energy to this movie that it really needs. Carla Gugino is really good as well, but she kind of plays it more straight. Again, I think the mileage will vary on how much you do enjoy Pauly Shore, but if you can get down with his antics in this movie, Son-in-Law is a really fun time. It's a good Thanksgiving movie to watch, I think, for, all of the reasons that I laid out previously about the theme. So I'm not going to repeat them here, but yeah, I think it's really fun. It has a good amount of comedy to it. Some of them will hit, like Martin said, some will miss, but I think overall, it's a hit. And I really like it. I watch it every year for Thanksgiving. It's definitely worth a watch at least. See what you think. Maybe your preconceptions of Pauly Shore are not, rooted in fact. So give it a try. See what you think, especially for this Thanksgiving season. I think you might enjoy it. So, all right. That's it for our Thanksgiving episode. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoy your turkey dinner. And whatever you have, but hopefully you have sausage stuffing as well, because that's amazing. So if you don't, I feel sorry for you. Maybe cranberry sauce, maybe not.
No.
You can go back to our episodes too on our Thanksgiving episodes. We covered a bunch of stuff. Covered Thanksgiving, the movie. We covered way back, one of our first episodes. Covered Thanksgiving. Still need to get to Thanksgiving 3 at some point. We've done Blood Rage. We've done a lot of Thanksgiving movies. So if this one didn't wet your whistle, go back and listen to some of our other ones. So yeah, I think we're probably going to take a week break and then come back for Christmas. Do all of our Festivus series. So you'll want to subscribe and catch us for that. I don't think there's going to be a theme this year. I think we're just going to do Christmas movies and kind of come up with some various Christmas movies to do. So should be fun regardless. With that, subscribe to us on pretty much any podcast app you can think of. We're on Apple Podcasts, our home base at Spotify, whatever you listen to, I'm sure we're on it. So subscribe, leave us a nice review. We're on Facebook and not Twitter anymore. I deleted that shit. We're on Blue Sky now. So we have Facebook and Blue Sky. You can find us on there, follow us, like us, whatever you do.
Wait, you mean to tell me after everything you were saying today that you don't like Twitter?
No, it's gone, baby. It's gone. I've deleted all of my Twitter presences, so it's gone. We have an email address at bloodandmacaronpodcast@gmail.com, or you can write to us. Let us know what you like, what you don't like, what movies you want us to watch, and we'll take that in consideration. And you can donate to us at our Patreon or Spotify page. Anything you donate goes back towards beer, so we appreciate that in advance. And also, words of recommendation always really help out too. So just recommend us to people. Always helps us out. So thanks. We hope you enjoyed our episode on son-in-law. Hope you have a nice Thanksgiving season with your friends and family. And until next time,
take care.